Okay, additional chord vocabulary. I'm going to use some theoretical terms, but most of what I'm demonstrating here on the guitar is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm just going to look at some more chord shapes that you're going to use, throughout the performance examples and hopefully on your gigs. First off, the suspension. The suspended fourth, used very often. It sounds great. Let's say we take an A chord right here. The suspended fourth would be to add a D to that chord instead of the third. So instead of the C sharp here, we put a D in, and we get this. And you've heard this everywhere. Okay, so that's one really nice one. An example of fingering that in a bar chord position would be here on a D chord. And you can almost hear a Tom Petty song coming out of that, but you could play it like a rock song. And then the suspended fourth in the sixth string rooted position is a little more complicated to hit because you don't have enough fingers to do it this way. You wind up losing something. So that's when this fingering of a standard bar chord comes in handy. So if you're in an A chord, you hit the bass note with your thumb, and then you can hit that suspension, no problem. So there's just a couple basic suspensions on the top strings. You have the D chord, and the suspension is here. Now, I'm also going to talk about seventh chords. Seventh chords are the basic chords in jazz and blues, but they are very useful in hard rock, have a long-standing reputation for showing up, so we should know what we're doing. The voicings that I primarily use, I'm just going to show you the ones that I find most useful. The ones that I find most useful are the dominant 7 add 9, which I'm going to do this in E. So what you do is you take your second finger on the 7th fret, first finger on the 6th fret, third finger across the 7th fret again. Really useful voicing. Now, the 9th that I'm speaking of is this F sharp right here. And if we raise it a half step, we get the sharp 9, and that then would be the Hendrix chord, which you recognize from Purple Haze. So there's a couple you need. Dominant 7 chords with the root on the 6th string. You have this basic voicing right here. You can take your pinky off and you get the 7th chord like this. That's a really good test of how well your barring is working. But I will very often, instead of playing this, I will play the voicing like this, which is first finger here, second finger on the 3rd fret, third finger on the 3rd fret 2nd string, and then you put your pinky here. And I will also, I will use the, that was great grammar, by the way. I will use the minor 7 version of that voicing, which is just to bar your 3rd finger and put the bass note down here. And you hear this one kind of comes up with distortion on it a lot. Pretty useful stuff. So those are a couple of voicings. Now, there's a couple of things that you're going to get on the guitar, and this happens in hard rock all the time, and it's It's more the way color chords get executed in hard rock, rather than like, you know, trying to find out, you know, where a major 7 sharp 11 chord is, the way, you know, somebody that actually knows those chords would do it. More often what we do is we take a chord we know and we move it against the open strings in order to create color chords. So you can experiment with this, but I'll just give you a couple of examples. One is to play chords where, just here an example of what I'm talking about. Here's an E chord. And if I move just this shape up and down the neck, I get different chords that sound amazing. So you have this one. If you move it up 2 frets to where it'd be like an F sharp, you get this one. Move it up here to where it would be like part of an A chord, you get this thing. B chord, you get this. So you're getting all this color off of just having these top 2 strings ringing. Now, I can do the same kind of thing, but bring the bass note into play, and then you actually get even more use out of it. Like if you do it over F, you get a major 7 sharp 11 chord. If you do it over G, you get like a 6th. If you do it over A chord, you get a 9th. So it's really useful. You may recognize it from You Can't Kill Rock and Roll from the Ozzy record. And that's just B and A with the top 2 strings ringing open. And you can get the exact same or similar effect if you let the top 2 strings ring open against kind of power chords with the octave played on the 5th string. So in that case, like you start with the A chord, and then like a C sharp chord gets you a nice minor 7. E chord is all E. And a B chord gets you a really nice suspension sound. And these are all really like the power ballad voicings. Like you do any of this stuff, like on the power ballad, you get all that nice color. But if you do it with distortion, you get a very Smashing Pumpkins-y thing. Like if you did it on an F sharp off the 6th string, you get that. It's very Alice in Chains, Smashing Pumpkins, like all that alt rock from the 90s. So here's some good stuff for you. You got dominant 7s. You have color chords utilizing the open strings. You also have that dominant 7 sharp 9 chord. I'm not giving you any playing examples right now. I'm just kind of giving you the width and breadth of what the additional chords may be. They're mostly going to show up in the performance examples later on.